What's going on, you guys? It's fight week. Oscar Valdez and Shakur Stevenson, a unification fight is going down. Shakur Stevenson, going into this fight, said that by him training with one of the best, right, by him being able to hold his own against one of the best, none of the rest could even contest. Hit that like button for your boy. Give me that HBO special. That's a Help a Brother Out special. We're on the road to 15,000 subscribers. But Shakur Stevenson, full of confidence going into this fight this weekend with Oscar Valdez. Oscar Valdez is calm and stoic and prepared for battle against possibly one of his toughest fights to date in a young prodigy, Shakur Stevenson. Shakur Stevenson been having interviews and doing press conferences, and he says that by him training with Terence Crawford, by him holding his own against Terence Crawford, he feels that nobody else can even compete with him.
On your Twitter a few weeks ago, how much did you learn from sparring a fighter like Terence Crawford? How much did you gain from that?
I gained a lot. Just to know like I could hold my own with one of the best fighters on the planet is a blessing, and it definitely boosts my confidence to a higher level because I know that fighters like Oscar Valdez and people that's my weight, my size, they're not on the level of a Terence Crawford. So I definitely gained a lot of confidence from it, and I feel good about it.
Nobody else in the smaller weight classes, the weight classes that he's in, can compete with him. And I find it interesting. Shakur Stevenson seems to believe that he's really the best fighter in the sport of boxing. He just got to walk that path and prove it. But him holding his own against Terence Bud Crawford, right? Him holding his own against one of the best fighters in the sport.
But Bud the best fighter in boxing too. Make sure y'all let that be known. Canelo? Yeah. Bud the best fighter in boxing. If Canelo is at his weight, I'm telling y'all now, Bud will beat Canelo.
Very interesting indeed. Shakur Stevenson, we've seen him over the years sparring with just so many different guys. Lomachenko, Yordenis Ugas, even Oscar Valdez. We've seen him sparring with some of everybody in the sport and some of the best names in the sport. So not only does Shakur Stevenson have a lot of experience as far as amateur, Olympic background, he has a lot of experience by training with world-class fighters. So going into this fight, Shakur Stevenson likely would be the favorite by most. Canelo Alvarez said that the game plan for Valdez should be to not pressure Shakur Stevenson or he'll pick you apart. He said that Oscar Valdez should box and pick his shots. But Shakur Stevenson said that's a horrible idea. Why would you give him that type of advice to fight a guy like me, right? I mean, trying to outbox Shakur Stevenson is almost like trying to catch confetti in a snowstorm, right? It just seems impossible for a guy like Oscar Valdez to sit there and try to box with Shakur Stevenson. You would think that the pressure route would be the best route. Even though he's going to have to take some shots to get in, one would imagine that'd be his best chance at beating Shakur Stevenson. Trying to outbox a guy like Shakur Stevenson, I think his chances of victory will be slim to close to none. But hey, this is boxing and anything can happen. Going into this fight, Oscar Valdez seems like he's the underdog despite him being a more experienced fighter, despite him being a champion and multi-division champion. Seems like he's the underdog going into this fight with Shakur Stevenson. Canelo Alvarez seems worried, right? And the interesting thing about this fight is both of these guys are stablemates of two of the best fighters in the sport, Canelo Alvarez and Terence Bud Crawford, right? Oscar Valdez has been under the watchful eye of Canelo Alvarez. And Shakur Stevenson, as we know, is like the little bro of Terence Bud Crawford, sparring 9 rounds with him and feeling really confident going into this fight this weekend with Oscar Valdez. One thing I noticed, though, about Shakur Stevenson going into this fight is his energy is a lot different from that what it was with Jamil Herring. Jamil Herring is the soldier. He's the good guy. He's the nice guy. And Shakur Stevenson had a lot of energy. Shakur Stevenson had a lot of negative energy towards Jamil Herring going into that fight. Maybe it was his way of selling the fight because Jamil Herring isn't one of these guys who is going to be going back and forth. And, you know, let's be honest, when you have a black guy and a Mexican guy, there's not too much talking you really need to do because the Mexican fans are going to come out and support. So, yeah, that could be that as well. But nonetheless, Shakur Stevenson seems to be very excited. He seemed like this is what the moment he's been waiting for, and he's going to have to make the best of it. Oscar Valdez, this is going to be his toughest fight. And I think Oscar Valdez, despite some of the things that happened with him recently with the failed test and him seemingly ducking Shakur Stevenson, I think a lot of fans in the back of their minds have a lot of respect for Oscar Valdez from taking this fight and following through with it. You know, Shakur Stevenson is one of those fighters that, you know, he needs the opportunity. And really talented young fighters in the sport of boxing, they seem to not get these opportunities, man, unless the stars align. And the stars are starting to align for Shakur Stevenson. He just got to make the best of it. But with Shakur Stevenson and Oscar Valdez training with two of the best guys in the sport, Shakur Stevenson seems to be supremely confident from the fact that he trains with Terence Crawford and that he's able to hold his own against Terence Kumite Crawford. He feels that nobody else can compete with him. Tell me what you guys think. Like, subscribe, holla at your boy. Peace out.